Buzz it. Push the buzzer.
It's really hard.
Buzz it. Yeah. Buzz it. Yeah.
Wait, if we push it together?
Teamwork?
Someone at the door. Someone's buzzing in.
Huh? What? Someone's buzzing?
Someone's buzzing.
Is it gonna open? Are we gonna open?
I don't know, man.
Lisa, you don't have a buzzer.
We met our match. Oh, look, it's Lisa. It's actually Lisa.
Hi, welcome to the Garageband Talkshow. I'm Nate,
I'm Eli.
and we're here with Dig the Kid band from Oakland. So,
Called Ringing the Dead. It's about having so much fun with the people who passed away in your life when I come back and party with you.
yeah.
So,
I don't know what that was. But yeah. It was like a half fast. What? Thanks for having us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for
thank you
letting
for
us
having
in
us
with you
here.
guys,
Yeah.
because it's pretty
Being
cool
able to come
actually.
here.
Like,
This is a really nice studio.
yeah, this is
Thanks.
pretty cool.
Yeah, we actually had a spot on the corner, which was like a small little bachelor pad, and it was kind of dark and dingy. It was awesome. And then we took it over as the office. So now we have this, but we kind of made it our home. So we still have a lot of work to do. So,
Well, it looks
So can you give us some background on yourselves?
Corey,
on the band or us?
On the band and you, like
what do
individually.
you prefer? Where Corey's from?
Yeah.
Me? Well, I grew up in San Dimas, California.
Mhm.
I was in a band before this one, which was Wild Stallions, with a really good friend of mine. It was a really cool experience. The problem was that we couldn't get Eddie Van Halen on guitar. We tried. We sent him letters. We sent him messages. We tried making a music video, but that didn't work.
You and Ted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I moved to LA because I was having a very, very uncomfortable relationship with my dad's new wife.
Oh.
I went to prom with her, but she married my dad, and that was a little
Oh.
awkward.
Wait a minute, this sounds a lot like Bill and Ted.
What's that?
You want to give the band a background?
Sure, I'll do that. Do you want the real background?
No, the
or-
real
Yeah,
background.
Like, how'd you
So
know
for
about
me,
that?
like, we started in the Matrix. So it was crazy. I took the blue pill, took the red. We stayed in Wonderland. You know what I mean? So we both were playing in other bands, and then he was my graphic designer, and I was playing in another band called AOV, and we were both based in Oakland, and I kind of started hanging out with them and like sharing music. We had the same kind of musical background, influences, and interests. And we started playing together, and I asked him to help me write a song for the Occupy back in 2011, I think, or 12. And then flew him out with me to perform it instead of the singer from my other band, just because of complications of like flights and them missing work and stuff. And we ended up having a blast, and we were like, we have to do something because this is awesome. He had a great vocal range, and I haven't heard. It's super different if you guys heard our music.
Yeah.
I can't really say what your vocals are like because it's really not. I can't compare it. So I thought that was awesome, and we started something and started sneaking him in my studio and playing like all hours of the night. And then we kind of grew from the band from there. And Ian, who's no longer with us, he's still our best friend. Who you look like, you were saying, learned bass. He was actually a drummer in his old band, so he learned bass just to play with us.
Oh,
And
that's
then
The fact that he was a drummer, she's a drummer. lent the band to our ability to kind of switch and rotate, and that kind of started to build this whole like, okay, we can kind of almost have 3 bands in one. And I think through our catalog of music, when you hear it all, it kind of like it'll jump around. We'll do different styles because we'll rotate players out. So you can, it's never, you don't have to have the same thing.
Yeah.
But we started spending a lot of time down in LA.
Well, once we established ourselves as a band, we hired an engineer. So I worked right across the street. There's a bar called Make Westing. And then I worked down the street at Disco Volante where we had like our first show, and we sold it out like the first show. It was like semi-acoustic, but we like cranked that shit up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was my bar, and they were like, okay, as long as you can play here, it was like a place like 125 people.
Yeah.
And so they're like, as long as you don't turn the amps up, and so we roll this Mesa Boogie over there, like this giant. And I was like, screw it, and I like threw away the brushes, and we just rocked it out, and we sold it out. So, and I think we were charging $3 to get in, and it was like 120 people. So we met one of the guys that used to come into my work. He was Mike Dirnt's assistant.
Yeah, his person.
Oh, really?
And he happened to be in Mike Dirnt from Green Day, his old penthouse, which is at the corner of Oakland, which is right by a bar called Make Westing in downtown, uptown.
Pyramid building.
Yeah, uptown. So we started recording with him, and we came out with 4 songs, and we already started getting them licensed. We were already getting asked to record songs like Sylvester Stallone, to try to record songs, and they kind of gave us like what they wanted it to sound like. They would go and rush and record it and then send it to them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we lost that one to Black Keys, but hey, it was us and Black Keys. It's all good. I'm like 10,000, 150,000. Like, which one do you want?
Yeah.
So we just kind of solidified ourselves as a band and started getting more and more traction and being noticed a lot more. So we kept driving to LA and spending more money, driving to LA and just kind of, rather than being in Oakland. Every time we'd come home, we'd get all sad. Oh, we're home again, because there's really nowhere to play at home.
Yeah.
And then we moved to LA.
Yeah, and one of the cool things that happened here when we were like in between, we did our first tour, and the night before we were supposed to leave for tour, we were leaving out of LA, and we had been invited to a party at the Village Recorder. Are you guys familiar with the Village? Really famous studio.
Name an artist.
It's if you guys ever get a tour of the place is amazing. Like you just walk in there and you're just surrounded. You can feel the energy of the amazing musicians and people who perform and record there. We were there for a party, and we knew the people who were the event coordinators for the party, and we just kind of there were some bands playing that night, and we're like, hey, if the band drops out, we're right here, we're right around the corner, just let us know.
Yeah, but we were bugging them all night. Like I was being one of those really annoying. It was almost like I was a super fan, and I was just like, hey dude, we'll play. And they're like, well, Ringo Starr is the last person. I'm like, oh. And so they did. They totally dropped out. And so they were like, hey, Dig the Kid, like all of our stuff ready to go. You want to come in here?
You got 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You have 5 minutes to get up on stage. And we like ran down the street. I grabbed my guitar. She grabbed her sticks.
Everything was already set.
Grabbed the bass. Everything was there. But we had no pedals. We had no tuners. We had nothing. It was as raw as you can get. And it was really exciting because it was kind of this weird, like, oh, this is how everybody used to do it. You just tune by ear. And then they threw up our name on the back. They spelled it wrong.
Yeah, they spelled it. Let me tell you, it was this giant. The letters were as giant as this wall. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Dick the Kid.
It's written behind us.
So
like, it was just we were.
One of our friends.
Everything was basically against us, literally.
One of our friends snapped it really quick, and then was like, "Dude, that's not their name." And they're like, "Oh, what is it?" And they're like, "Dig, not Dick the Kid. What is wrong with you?" So then they still bribe us with that picture, by the way.
She got up and she goes, we're Dig the Kid. We're not supposed to be here, but we're gonna play, a couple songs for you guys. What we were unaware of at that time of us saying this was the owner of the Village, a man by the name of Jeff Greenberg. Yeah. He kind of, at the time, he was getting crotchety, and he has all these people who are like literally inside of his house, and they're making a lot of messes, and there's food being spilled, and he wants them to he wants this place to close up and get out.
Well, the promoters are amazing, but it was that time where everybody was starting to get a little lit.
Yeah.
It's late at night.
So it was time to go.
So we get up, we play 5 songs, and we get off. Right before we get off stage, there was a man standing on the side, and he looks at me, and I see him, and I see his Grammy pin. He goes, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?" I'm Jeff Greenberg and I own this studio. And all of us were just like, oh my God, oh
The
no,
look on his
oh no, we're
face
done.
was
We're
like-
never going to be able to record her. We're never.
Yeah.
He goes,
Yeah.
I'm a jaded old motherfucker and you just blew my fucking mind. Verbatim. That's what he said. And we're like, oh. You know,
yeah,
but then what we found out was he had heard her say that we're getting up on stage, we aren't supposed to be here, and he proceeded to run through the whole studio to shut us down, and then stayed and listened to. We played 5 songs. He listened to all of them, and then promptly invited us to come into the studio and record, and that kind of started where a lot of the music that you guys hear, a lot of that was recorded at the Village Studios.
They have the best staff, the best engineers,
Oh, God.
and Jeff is like the most amazing guy in the world because I've never heard of anybody, you know, when people boost you up, it makes you feel good. That's why you're doing it.
Yeah.
We do music not because we can make noise and like music and it doesn't move anyone. Like if someone
Yeah.
goes, dude, your drumming like inspired, or if you could change one life, that's why you're there.
Yeah,
It's
it's
for
like
the
a
gift to
feeling.
you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So for him, every single time he met someone, like to even these giant producers, he's like, "Do you know these guys? Well, you should. They're the best fucking band in the world. That's what you should know."
I turn and I'm like, Lisa, he just introduced you to Mick Fleetwood.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he doesn't care.
Side note.
Hey,
Andre's
Andre's
here.
here.
Hi.
Andre, say a little bit about yourself before we go.
A little bit of myself before
Yeah.
I go. Oh, sorry. My name is Andre. I'm from Brazil. Nobody knew that. Guess
No,
you know.
your
Cool.
accent doesn't give it off.
Right, totally. Yeah. I've been in LA probably 18 years.
And you were born in Ireland. You're Irish.
Right, totally.
Yeah.
Raised by wolves.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
But Russian
I eat bears.
influence.
Yeah, I eat like raw meat.
Yeah.
I'm a vampire.
Is
no
that how you
weekends.
eat it? Like that? Yeah.
Just kidding. I'm a human being. I guess, right. But yeah, I am, here.
How long have you been playing bass and keys for? And
I've
drums?
been playing, I think I've been playing everything since I was like 14, maybe. Kind of started as a classical piano player. It was cool, but then it's boring at one point because, I just want to go and play soccer all day.
Yeah.
That's what we do in Brazil. I know we suck too.
I'm
that's
sorry,
my
but
thing.
chicks don't take the.
Yeah, exactly. So I realized, wait a minute, so what do I do, I want to be cool. You know what I mean? I want to be part of the, the cool kids. So I went back in music and just like, this is it. Did it full time. Been studying a lot, Brazil back here too, so it's fun.
We Andre plays bass for us, and then keys if we need it. If we find another bass player, but we're trying to get him to play bass and keys at the same time. Maybe that
That'd be
might
an
not be a
interesting
good
show.
look.
Yeah,
Did
I
you-
tweet
bass
out with,
and
like,
keys?
We'll get you a floor.
Yeah, teach
you
Morley with
that.
You
his
can just
toes.
big it up.
Well, you just play a
Well, you kind of like Geddy Lee.
play a riff that you don't have to really play
Yeah,
with the other hand. You
exactly.
just
He can do it.
finger
He can do it.
tapping and
Yeah, and then we switch, and he does songs on drums, and I move to guitar. So it's kind of cool that he can play all those instruments.
Yeah.
Because when we were with Ian, he could do that. He could switch from bass to drums back and forth, but it's really hard to find someone that can play drums. So when he left, we were like, shit, who are we gonna find? And
Yeah.
then Andre kind of came along. Well, a lot of friends played with us
Yeah.
first. Like our friend Chris from Adalas, he was awesome and joined, and then but we ended up sticking with Andre, the crazy Brazilian
Yeah, I'm not crazy.
who eats meat,
They
raw
are.
meat like this.
Like this.
I know what I mean, like this. It kind of like cool. Imagine like the blood dripping on this lake on the side.
Okay, wow. I'm a vegetarian.
Sorry, I need coffee.
So Alcon Entertainment decided to
They
bond.
partnered. Yeah, they partnered.
Yeah, and they kind of created this kind of like a licensing label.
Yeah,
kind of
it's
thing.
like a music supervision. So instead of having to go through a music supervisor, they have something in house under the banner of Alcon. They have their own inside label per se, so they can, again, instead of having to go through everybody and all the
So like if
Most
Alcon
everything.
comes out with Blade Runner, they'll be like, Dig the Kid, can you record something for Blade Runner? I mean, it goes right in the movie. Usually
that's
in the industry,
cool.
you have to ask the licensor, and the licensor has to get the deal for you, and,
Yeah.
or people have to pitch it. So
Yeah.
there's no pitching.
So they
kind
pretty
of
much
have,
just reach out to you.
Yeah.
Hey, like, come on.
Yeah.
And that was kind of how
awesome.
Still Breathing happened, and we they came to us with basically the makeup of that song was they came to us and sat us down and said, hey, we need a closing track, or we're trying to write a song for the film. Here's a sizzle reel, so we got to see a little bit of the film. They gave us the script, and this is about a year before the film was going to come out. They gave it to us and they said, hey, is there something you can do with this? The director and the studio is really looking for something kind of like AWOL Nation Sail and Imagine Dragons Radioactive. Can you find something somewhere in between there? So we went back to our studio. We wrote, I think we had 3 songs that we pretty much had down pat, that they were going to come in and see us. They gave us like 3 or 4 days, and they were going to come and show them what we had. The morning they were coming in to show us, we had got in early and actually started retooling, like me on piano, her on drums, kind of breaking out the basics of what Still Breathing was. And then we showed it to them just like an hour
It
later.
was the most undone
You know,
song. We
like,
had
it
other
was
songs
so
that were
raw.
completely done,
And
and they
they're-
were awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were just like, that's the one. That's the one, let's try for it. So they brought us in. It was like one day of recording. It was such an interesting experience because we're so used to having that nice little, you have that fluff time where you
Yeah.
can, let's
Or how about
maybe
we know
this
the
guitar.
song
How about
before
try
going
this?
in?
How try this?
Yeah.
This was like, go, drums, now, done, move, go, guitar, done, now. And I'm like, can I lay down some piano? They're like, oh, sure, go lay down some piano. And it was just really...
It was all the way upstairs, and there was cameras where he was, and we were downstairs in the recording.
Yeah,
room. It
and
was
we
the
had
strangest.
we had executives and producers in the room. It was
I think
a
there was
lot
like
of
13.
yeah, there were so many people, and it was such a weird experience recording. But we got the performance. Everything sounded good. They sent it off. We got it back, and then it kind of like, this is the song, and it was kind of just like given to us. This is what it is. And we've tooled it at this point. Like, we can perform it sometimes when we want to and we feel like it. But it got attached to the film, and it was in the 10th version of the movie, and we were holding out for that closing spot at the end of the movie. And months are going by, and we're still not getting. We don't know whether we're gonna get it. We have no idea. Like, at that point, everything was
It
hindering
was definitely
on-
going to be in the film.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. We wanted the closing track. The biggest title of a movie is the ending closing track. As the movie's ending.
Yeah.
Unless
You
it's a
have-
Bond picture.
Yeah. So the end of the movie, they say the lines, and then out comes your song, and usually it's like the whole song. So like everybody's walking out or watching the credits to your song, and then the next is
Yeah.
probably the opening, or if it's like a major montage.
Yeah.
So the fact that we got it closing and they called us in, like, oh, you made it, and we were like, it was like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, like
Yeah.
it was for a year.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So and the CEOs of Alcon and all the people that work for Alcon are literally like the most amazing people too. They were super nice to us. We got to go to the premiere. They played our song as people were jumping out of planes on the premiere.
Yeah, it was pretty neat.
It was on a
So we were like,
awesome.
we were just walking through the red carpet right as that was happening. We were like, still breathing, and it's like these guys are coming in and they're landing
I
in
was
the
like-
middle of the streets right in front of the Chinese theater, and it was like, what?
I kept going,
It was
screw the
Yeah.
jumper guys. Listen to that song.
Celebration. And I have like a really serious question, because I'm actually like really concerned, because my dog gets really itchy, like really bad.
Mhm.
So I wanted to know what that means.
You'd know before I would.
Well, your dog has probably dandruff. I mean, I would think that your dog probably has dandruff. You probably should take care of that before coming here. Just saying.
Oh,
You might want to. How long has it been since you washed him?
like,
We never watched it.
yeah, we.
How old is
we
your dog? 14?
It's
About-
like, yeah.
yeah, about like
17?
6 years old.
Ballad of Youth.
Did you guys like the song?
Yes.
So Ballad of Youth was the last song that we recorded in our first kind of in the last it was the last song we added to our record. The record we're going to be releasing later this year. But it kind of encapsulated everything that led up to where we are in our lives. You start a band when you're young. You get into it, you get excited about it, and if you follow the songs that we've written, everything from like On a Mission and Love and Bones and all these songs, like they've got this energy and they got this life and they're a lot of fun. Well, Ballad of Youth is that point when you have now gone through, being a band, being musicians, kind of starting to get really understanding being an adult, and realizing that at some point there's things in your life you can't do anymore. Yeah. And it's actually a love letter from your younger self to your older self saying it's okay to grow up. Because sometimes people don't. Like, we're afraid to grow up. We're afraid to let go of going out and partying and doing all this wild stuff. But we ultimately have to take care of ourselves and we have to start looking forward.
Well, hold on. You could still party and do those things.
You can.
But you got to do yoga the next day. That's all.
Yeah.
Just adding exercise. That's fine.
You can.
Yeah.
But it's
don't smoke cigarettes, babe.
It's ultimately it's a conversation between you and your younger self.
Yeah.
Really. But from that is a launching point into where we go next. It was a great capper for the end of the record. It was a really cool capper for the end of those songs that we were doing and where we were in our career as a band and moving forward. So it was a nice launch pad to where we go next. So maybe look at that song as ideas of even soundscapes that we may be heading into next.
Okay, well then read yours.
It's better after yours, man. Trust me.
Oh, okay. You rolling?
Yes, he's rolling.
Oh.
You guys gotta get your shit together.
Yeah, seriously. All right.
What are you guys doing next in your?
We're going back into the studio soon, to the village and record. We're already ready to release our album and then record more. We have tons of new stuff. We're gonna record with Robbie, which is cool, in the near future. And we're deciding that we're moving to China. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Everything's better in China.
Are you
Is it bigger?
searching for
And they
something?
watch their animals there, by the way.
Oh,
So,
maybe we should go there.
yeah, give them good scrub.
The goal is the plan.
Three strings?
Oh yeah.
What's the matter with you?
Why would
three strings on your
You
bass?
didn't say anything.
You didn't
Okay.
tell me that, dude.
I left mine at school. The one with 4
Dude,
strings.
You had from like last week to right now to let me know that, and you're telling me right now.
Well, no, the one at school with 4 strings is at school.
That sounds like an Ian.
Okay, well,
that
you
sounds
still-
like an Ian thing.
But
No, that's a
You
you
had
thing.
such
It's
a
a me
long
thing.
time to bring
Hold on,
it
wait.
though.
That's a
the
Corey
point.
who are
thing.
you guys' favorite artist from like older generations and from now, like this present like day that we're in?
We have a array of artists, so we listen to everything. I mean, everything. So it's
Yeah.
really hard to nail down a genre. I mean, obviously it's predominantly rock. That's what we grew up with.
It can be any genre.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Certain things. Sometimes you'll find an artist that you never would have liked like a week ago, but you're in the right mindset to hear that music, or something you've heard a million times and you weren't into it, and then all of a sudden they just sit you down at the right point and it just hits
it
you
just
and you
clicks.
get it.
It's artists like Kendrick Lamar who every time they make a song, they come out with something completely different.
Yeah.
Like his whole Black Panther, which he introduced me to before the movie came out. The whole soundtrack is like nothing. I mean, yes, it is. It's very Kendrick Lamar, but every song is like so insanely different to us.
Yeah.
He's very diverse.
Yeah, and it's
How
and
he
it's
writes,
cool, and you can actually. I mean, one of my all-time favorite hip hop is Notorious by far,
Yeah.
because everything he says is hilarious. Besides E40, everything, and you can hear his lyrics. You can hear everything he's saying. You love the beats, and I swear to God, like every time I hear a song, I'll go to like the B-sides and I'll hear something and I'll just start laughing in the car. And all my friends are like, what are you laughing? I'm like, dude, listen to this lyric. It's amazing. Like, you know, and I feel like Kendrick Lamar is kind of like the hip hop that I want to hear.
You go back to somebody like The Far Side, Bizarre Ride 2, and that whole record, literally the entire record was recorded with live musicians. You know, and it's crazy that, you know, now it's just a little...
That's why it's cool to go to a Jay-Z concert or even like Beyonce. Beyonce's got 2 chick drummers, like all of her, you know, all of her musicians are chicks, which is rad.
Yeah.
And for being a female, like in the industry, it's pretty cool to have something like that. But I mean, I'm also a lover of pop. I love stupid pop music. I really do, and it's ridiculous. Like, give me some Britney Spears on the way to Vegas. Okay, girl.
Yeah.
He's like, turn that shit off. But for me, he likes some
Sometimes,
stuff.
yeah. I mean,
Like you take like Lady Gaga, you know what I mean? The Gaga. Yeah, I think everything just kind of goes like this.
Yeah.
The only thing I think I don't like put it on a CD and jam to is jazz. But that's not because I mean, who puts it in a CD?
It's a little hard to
yeah,
dance to jazz. It's not.
Yeah,
Jazz is
but
like-
amazing. Jazz is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm always like at the drum set, I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Start hitting like normal just shit, and that's jazz. You know what I mean? Just on
Do you
all
guys
time.
listen to funk?
Dude, funk is
Yeah.
yes.
Control it, man. Control the funk.
You guys have jammed with some pretty famous people, and you guys have jammed with legends. So I want to know who your favorite like people to jam with were, that stood out to you the most when
it's
you
gotta
made
be
music.
Robbie.
I mean, I would say the biggest legend would be Robbie Krieger, who's super awesome. Sometimes when you meet, you don't want to meet idols or you don't want to meet people in the industry because when you do, sometimes their real personality comes out and you're like, I wish you were not a dick.
Yeah.
So he is far from that. Like, he's super humble. He doesn't really talk too much. You know what I mean? Like, he's very quiet, soft-spoken, and he just wants to play.
There's nothing he loves more than just playing, and he just wants to jam with everybody.
That's awesome.
And he's very open to, you know, you get nervous, you're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna play his song, and it's like, gets to the point where he just wants to play your song, you know.
Yeah.
He has a blast playing something different.
Okay, well, we brought you guys some gifts.
Yes!
From Ontario. We got the Graver House olives.
Oh, grab.
Ooh.
Here you go, Andre.
Oh.
Grab her olives.
And then we also got some candy.
Christmas
And-
came early to me.
This
That's
is awesome.
cool.
This is by your.
Yeah,
this is
that's
by where
awesome.
you guys are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like right
Like
down
down
the
the
street
street
from
from
our
us.
house.
Graver.
Yeah.
I grab her.
Ooh, that's so cool.
You can say however you want. We always pronounce
Orchard
it wrong
run
anyway.
sizes.
When I was born, 1994. Just kidding.
They grilled them right there too.
Is this a dreidel?
Oh my
That's
god.
a drinking
Oh, this
game.
is a drinking
Tommy will
game.
explain to you later.
Okay.
And then we got you some counterfeit money to get you out of a jam. Hopefully not into
All
one.
right.
Studio rent. Man, that covers this month.
And then,
Rossi's
and
coming to
then,
collect rent.
Yeah.
Kid.
and then
Here's a
we
down
got you
payment.
the infamous
It's real. This looks
Spock
real.
5.
Dump him in the car.
Wait, what? Who did that? That's awesome.
Wait, what?
Is it rolling? Alright, well thanks for having us here to interview you.
Thanks for
It
coming
was
on.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Thanks.
We had a great time.
Absolutely, man.
Great
Thank you guys.
stories. And
We'll let you know in a month that
There
we're
we
coming
go.
back from China.
Like billionaires.
crazy.
Who eats meat,
They
raw
are.
meat like this?
like this.
I know what I mean, like this. It kind of like cool. Imagine like the blood dripping on this, like on the side. Like,
Okay, wow. Alright, I'm a vegetarian.
sorry, I need coffee.
Where can we find your music?
You can find our music at digthekid.com. You can find us at Bandcamp. You can find us on Spotify. Literally just search Dig the Kid in your
Instagram,
browser
Dig
and
the
you'll
Kid
find us all over the place.
Everywhere.